Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now I'm a bit late with this deep dive breakdown, but I had a fairly hectic day, so let's get on with it. So first things first, I must remind everybody that Wong and Rintra both are subject to balancing changes. Very important thing to note because, well, most people don't, and it is a fact that they might get changed, but they are definitely going to be part of the quote-unquote balancing program. That being said, my initial impression of Wong is kind of like a mix of America Chavez and Airwalker in the sense of abilities. And I'm not saying that that means that he's going to be a bad champion. It just means that they might have taken those ideas and done them right and properly this time around. It's kind of like when Professor X came to the game, a lot of people thought that, it's Ebony Maw done right in a sense. It's just kind of like what the abilities remind you of. Now, first things to note, he works with his mystical charges or mystical energy. He gains one every second and then additional ones for every spell that he has active, and then each of these spells basically give additional ways how to gain this energy. And that energy is extremely important in order to utilize mega massive power gain. That power gain does look quite OP, to be honest, especially once you kind of build up with him. I have a feeling that you can pretty much just use like a special 3, charge a heavy attack, and get another special 3 in, do a couple of combos, and just special spam all day long. But we're going to have to see that obviously when he does come to the game. Another important aspect of mechanics is that he does have access to passive unstoppable, very handy, very easily on his heavy attacks, and it is paused while it's charging. So that's going to be quite interesting. And he can have unblockable level 2 as well that gains power for each unique spell. He, like many of the sorcerer characters, basically has 3 different spells. The default orange one just increases his physical resistance, but there the secondary effect is more important, where he gains additional energy every time he strikes the opponent with like a medium or a light. Then the second one, the green one, that lets him regenerate 25% of any energy damage he takes. But if you add in recovery, and if you have 3 of those actives, then he's practically immortal against any type of energy damage. He would be taking very, very little of that. And then the blue one is the damage phase, the damage spell. And that just gives you a burst of energy or physical damage whenever you strike the opponent. It looks about 50% per stack, so it goes up until they're about 150, 180% of your damage can be dealt as burst of energy damage, which is a quite substantial increase. That's about the same proportion that Hercules has, where he can get up to 120% of burst damage from all of his all of his hits. But obviously, it's still quite unclear what will be his own base stats. It's quite unclear how effective exactly is going to look like. What am I trying to showcase here? I think it's just the level 2 and I think the damage increase. So there we have the power gain on the heavy attack and unstoppable. Here are his mandalas explained. Basically, these mandalas rotate just like with Black Widow Clairvoyant when you activate fourth light attack. If he's awakened, you can have a pre-fight ability selecting which mandala you want to start with. Otherwise, it's going to be the orange one. And on defense, it's going to rotate every 8 seconds. And then you basically just activate your mandalas with level 1s. And they last for 14 seconds after the level 1. But they are paused during special and heavy attacks. And level 2s and level 3s reset the duration of them as well. So, moving forward, is just a showcase of his mythical energy. That's fine. What are we checking here? I think is the power gain and the unstoppable. Here is his defensive mechanic. When he is at 100 charges, if you strike him, he's going to basically deal a burst of damage. Now, offensively, that will have very, very, very little use, right? Because you're not really trying to get hit, and even if you do, it's not like you're going to do a ton of damage. However, if you're facing a stacked Wong, then you would be in trouble. Because if you hit him with a medium or light, once he's at 100 charges, you can take a huge chunk of damage. Now, there is a way around it, which is to drop a heavy attack once he's at 90 plus charges. That's why they kind of included in deep dive. So once he has gain his mythical charges, you need to be able to drop a heavy attack. So that will automatically potentially cause some issues in certain node combinations, where if you are unable to drop your heavy attack, and for instance maybe he's debuff immune or something like that, and you can't necessarily punish his heavy with your heavy, could be a fairly sticky situation there immediately, because you have to be able to heavy him in order to get rid of those charges. Right, so we can this one again. Here they are showing the Eldritch spells. Wonderful. Each of them do the effects that I already explained earlier. It's quite important to note that his only nullification abilities are on level 3. And typically for a Mystic champion, I really don't like that at all. And he has no power control. And that's why I also got that America Chavez vibes. Because America Chavez is a very similar kind of champion in a sense, where she cycles through her dimensions, she can stack them up, then she gains extra power and can spam her special attacks and stuff like that. But in this case, I do think that because that power gain is so potent, and that power gain can get you to level 3, and that can let you drop a fairly long Fate Seal if you have quite a lot of spells active, that could kind of mitigate the lack of nullify abilities on basic attacks, level 1s, level 2s. And none of the spells also do anything in that regard. But it is kind of odd that he's a Mystic champion that again has no power control and very limited buff control. I do hope that level 3 is quite available readily as and when you need, because otherwise, again, it's fairly tricky to see the scenario where you would necessarily want to use him as a Mystic champion offensively. Because, okay, so he can deal a burst of damage. That's cool. Any champion deals damage. And then he can go unstoppable. Okay, that's neat. And unblockable at times. But all the other abilities is just kind of a damage mitigation with physical resistance, or that... he does have a regeneration. So he... I forgot to add, in his regeneration mandala, he regenerates 2% of energy damage that he deals to the opponents, which is basically on level 2s and level 1s. So you can regen with him slightly, so he has a bit of regeneration, but still, it's only like a health metric that's kind of added sustainability. But what do you do with him? And that is what I kind of struggle with. Similar to America Chavez. Like, she's a Mystic champion, but why? Why would you use America Chavez in a sense? And that's not to try and harp on the character. I'm just immediately starting to think what problems this champion would solve, because that is how my head works. And similar to how America Chavez doesn't really have anything in her kit that, would be classed as heavy-duty utility, I think with Wong, we might be risking a similar issue here, even though he does have that nullifying level 3, which, is kind of a bit of a saving grace. But other than that, he doesn't really counter anything. He does counter something that we're going to get to. But he seems more like a special spam damage focused character. And I'm just thinking, it's like, do we need one? But we'll get there. We'll get there by the end. He also has a crossfight. Now, this crossfight is not necessarily the most potent or effective one. Any ability that effectively involves you getting KO'd, this is going to be more of a defensive annoyance, I think. Because if you're going to defeat Wong in a quest or an alliance war fight, for instance, then your opponent is immediately going to start with the bar of power. Then your next opponent, when you use that champion, is immediately going to start with the bar of power and 35% increased fury. So it is going to be quite annoying somewhere, but it's just something to keep in mind. Offensively, I think that there are very, very, very limited uses to this. In a sense, it is kind of cool that you are willing to sacrifice your Wong, then you can effectively have a power stat 1 boost throughout the entire contest. Like, that is kind of cool, but again, it's kind of like a niche, thing where, again, it's nothing that's gonna make or break the champion. It's an interesting thing to be aware of, but it's not kind of like viable mainstream strategy. You're not gonna use this every day, for every fight. It could potentially be useful to kind of overcome some very tricky situation, where if you have a matchup, for instance, where you have to get to level 2 very quickly, then just kill your Wong, I mean, get him past the bar of power, kill your Wong, and then you can kind of have a power start 1 boost in next fight. That is going to be quite interesting to mess around, but not really seriously, I think. Right, what else we have? Level 2 can hit quite hard if you have a lot of spells active. Without many of those Eldritch spells active, don't even really bother with that level 2, I would say. It just refreshes the duration of all the other active ones. Level 3 has the Fate Seal, as I mentioned. And now we have the Sig ability. So Sig ability can let you pick one of your spells that you would start with, basically, and also activate that spell immediately. So it is quite useful signature ability because you'd immediately be basically saving yourself a bar of power. You would be gaining the effect of first special one that you throw. And not to mention it can last up to 26 seconds, which is, quite substantial amount of time. Now the second aspect though, kind of seems a bit low. When I say Wong only has Nullify in level 3, I did not add in this one. Because Wong's Mastery or Mystic Art allows him to instantly nullify indestructible and immortality buffs on non-science opponents. When nullified, opponents receive a burst of energy damage as well. Which means that if you mess up with Hercules against Wong, Hercules is immediately dead. Which is pretty much what it does. Like, we don't have that many indestructible and immortality buffs, and it's quite obvious which champion is kind of aimed at here. So he does have his anti-Hercules mechanic kind of in a sense as well, because you're not going to be able to eat a combo to the face whilst being immortal against Wong with Hercules. Which, Kabam has always done that, when they release some really powerful champion, then all of a sudden new abilities appear. Like with Ghost, for instance, every Cosmic Champion all of a sudden places armor breaks at the beginning of the fight, or just by standing close to you, or just by activating a special attack like Angela, just to hinder Ghost. And, this is going to be one of those things that we're going to have to consistently keep in mind with Hercules, that every other champion that's going to be released will have some BS thing against Hercules. Right, moving on, synergies. And synergy-wise, there are a couple that kind of seem alright for Wong, but there's absolutely nothing that seems game-changing for any other champions, really. Now, Wong with Doctor Strange exceed maximum Eldritch energy to 125, which is kind of neat. You can store up basically more power. Why not? Doctor Strange Fate Seal duration increased by 50%. Who cares? Doctor Strange. Now, Dr. Voodoo and Magic, again, spell durations increased by 20%. Neat, nice, why not? Dr. Voodoo, power gain and power leech effects gain 25% increased duration. Again, it's really nothing Dr. Voodoo needs, and Magic, if opponent has one or more buffs, special one becomes unblockable. Again, who cares, really? It's not what Magic needs. What we need is another star on Magic. Now, this synergy is quite good for Wong. This synergy looked like the best one specifically for Wong, where you gain 2 additional Eldritch energy when hitting the opponent with light or medium attacks. So you'll be able to gain that energy much quicker. Then you can charge heavy attacks and start spamming special attacks much faster as well. Abomination, landing a heavy attack will pause fury buffs for 6 seconds. I wish this was poison debuffs instead of fury buffs, because Abomination, yes, you gain a fury now and then basically, but you would be much better off if you could pause the poison debuffs that you can get with the Red Guardian's energy. That would be so much more powerful. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Wong, special attack 1 grants an additional 10 Eldritch energy. Sure, why not? Shang-Chi, special 3 readies all unreadied Wushu strikes. I kind of always felt that Shang-Chi should have had this in his base kit, but hey, whatever not, it's only the level 2 that did that. But at least with Shang-Chi is a champion that you could actually be bringing in some meaningful piece of content and actually benefit from the synergy. So, it's kind of neat, nice. And then we have Wong, while Virtue Valor is active, apply Incinerates instead of energy damage for 4 seconds. This one just gives you another tool in case you do need to have access to Incinerate damage. It's nice to have it there, but it doesn't actually increase your damage output or anything of the sort. And Iron Man Plasma passives are paused during Iron Man special attacks. If I have ever seen a synergy that should be in the base kit of a champion, then this is the one. And that's about it. That's all about Wong. Now, again, he looks very, very fun. He looks very, very interesting. And I'm not by any means saying that he's not going to be a good champion. Definitely also seems like a bit of a pain on defense, perhaps. And I'm sure that we still have loads to see and learn about Wong. At the moment, though, I am worried about what do you do with him. You know what I mean? Because all of his abilities is, yeah, you gain power, you can get some regen back or physical resistance, or you deal a bit of burst damage, but who do you do it to? Because, you know, as far as you can read through it, you can probably use Iron Patriot in most of the fights you would want to use Wong. The only kind of, again, the actual utility bits is the level 3 Nullify, but Mangog has Nullify everybody in level 3. That being said, I think Wong can get that quicker than Mangog and easier than Mangog. And the other bit is, yes, you can have unblockable and unstoppable specials and that. But again, that's nothing to kind of write home about. So I thought what I saw was going to be really, really fun, and it is fun. I genuinely want to see much more of the gameplay, but I definitely do have my kind of worries and concerns as of right now, because it looks like a mix of America Chavez and Airwalker in kind of more fun gift wrap. But again, I just struggle to see why would I necessarily need this champion, or what I would want this champion for. Would I use him for Alliance War or Alliance Quest and stuff like that? And with as limited utility, I hope the damage numbers are really awesome and there is some insane, crazy rotation. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Wong, and I will catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about